Welcome to the Reserve Room. This is a place that you will be stationed at for at least an hour every day. A lot goes on in here that you are responsible for, like assisting patrons, shelf reading, the ASRS, and shelving. We've got a lot to cover, so let's get started. You learned about how to run the ASRS in the last training, and you're going to put your skills to use when you're stationed in the Reserve Room. Whenever you're sitting in here and hear this sound, that means the ASRS is moving and you most likely have a pick. Go into that room and retrieve the pick following the procedures you learned. The other ASRS task you will be working on a lot is storing items. Come out here with me. This is where you will find returned items that belong to the ASRS. Take the book and bring it to the desk. Before you store the item, you need to make sure it is checked in and truly belongs in the ASRS through Voyager. You'll find that sometimes mistakes are made. Before they get put into the ASRS, you want to double check that everything is correct. Once you verify that everything is correct, you can store the item in the ASRS. Before you put that book away, let's use it as an example for our next section. Now we're going to discuss Voyager. This is the system that the library uses to make transactions and search for items. So first, you want to go to the Start button and click on Circulation with the triangle icon. This prompts you to enter a username and password. The username is CircWork and the password is 12kids. When this box pops up, click on Customer Service Center. Now let's take a look at those return books that you have there. Before they get stored in the ASRS, you need to check to make sure they are checked in and do belong in the ASRS. So click on the item icon at the top of the screen and then scan the barcode of the first book into the box. This brings up a box with the book's information. As you can see, the location says that the book belongs in the robotic system and the status says discharged. That means that it's been checked in and that it belongs in the robot, so it's ready to go. Before you finish that pile of books, let me show you another task on Voyager that you will be using a lot. Patrons will sometimes need your help in finding an item. For this, you will need to click the item button and then click the little ellipsis button. This brings up the search page. It sets the title as the automatic search option, but if you click the drop-down arrow next to it, you will see an endless amount of search options. The ones you will use most often are title, author, or call number. Let's use title right now. Type in the title you are looking for and press Do Search. This brings up a page with all the results for the title you entered. Click on the entry you want and a page pops up with the information about that title. You can see the status and location of the item so you can tell the patron if the book is here and where they can find it. So those are the very basics of what you will be doing in Voyager. Now let's talk about the reserves. This room is called the Reserve Room because it houses the reserves. Reserves are items that professors put on hold for their classes to be checked out for a limited amount of time. We have several different types of reserves: 1 day, 3 day, and 3 hour. The 3-hour reserves are not allowed to leave the building. Now let's talk about how they are organized. The reserves are organized first alphabetically by professor's last name. From there, in the professor's collection, you search by call number order. Sometimes you will find personal books that don't have a call number. These will be organized alphabetically. Just like the shelves in the book tower, the shelves go from top to bottom, left to right, and then wrap around back to the top. So that's how they are organized. A job you will have with the reserves is to assist patrons in finding reserved books. So let's say someone is looking for a book for Professor Hartman's class. you will need to look alphabetically by the last name of the professor to find the section. There you go! Now say a patron is looking for a specific title for Brindle's class. Let's take this search to Voyager and find the item. Click on the Reserve button at the top of the screen. You can see that you have a lot of search options. Right now, let's click on Instructor and then type in Brindle's name. Here you see that there are several classes that he has reserves for. Click on the class the patron wants and you'll see a list of books that are on reserve for that class. Scroll down and click the title that the patron wants. Then, once the title is highlighted, click on the item icon at the top and a box appears with the information about the book. That way, you can tell the patron if the book is checked out. Make sense? Let's head back to the books. The other responsibilities you will have with the reserves are shelving and shelf reading. When reserves are returned, they will be placed on this cart right here. Whenever you see books there, you need to check on Voyager that they were discharged, just like you do with the ASRS books. Once you've done that, you can shelve them. On the back of the reserve books, you can see a bright green label that has reserve book policies. On it, you'll find the professor's last name and the class number. This is how you'll know where to shelve the book in call number order. The other task is to shelf read. Like I said before, they are organized from top to bottom, left to right, and then wrap around the shelves. Whenever you are in the reserve room, you will be responsible for shelf reading in here. These shelves really get out of order, especially during the school year. That means that shelf reading is a consistent task that always needs to be done. Next thing you need to learn is RFID. Sometimes a CSC worker will come in with a book with an RFID that doesn't work. When they give it to you, make sure they wait for you to complete it so you can give it right back to them. Now you need to encode the tag on the computer. Click on EnvisionWire RFID Suite, then Encoding. Now place the book on the RFID pad and scan the barcode of the book. On the computer screen, you'll notice that the light went from green to yellow. When it's done encoding, it goes back to green. The barcode of the book will appear at the bottom of the screen when the transaction was successful. When you're done, you can give it back to the CSC worker. So that's how you RFID. Another responsibility in the reserve room is shelving the new books and DVDs. Let's first talk about new books. Underneath the ASRS return shelf is where the new books are placed to be shelved. The new book shelves are located on the circular shelving in the front. Let's go ahead and shelve this book now. This is the circular shelving where the new books and DVDs belong. Just like regular books, you need to shelve the new books in call number order. So go ahead and do that now. Great, now let's go do the DVDs. The return DVDs are also put on this shelf. It looks like you have one there, so let's take it inside. This is where the DVDs are located. We have 2 cases per DVD. The ones that contain the DVD have a thinner case, a call number, and a genre sticker. The DVDs are organized by genre. Since this movie genre is family, you look under F for the duplicate display case. Within the genre, the movies are usually organized in alphabetical order. There it is! Now that you have it, let's look at the differences in the cases. You can see that the display case is wider and only has the genre sticker, while the DVD case is generally thinner and always has a call number. Make sure that the DVD case always has the DVD. Now you need to put the DVD case onto the shelf where the display case was, and put the display case out in the circular shelving. The display cases are organized by genre, just like in the reserve room. The next thing you need to learn is the to-do list. A new list is created every day telling you what to do while you are here. It is important that you check at the beginning of every shift to see where you will be and what you'll be doing. Also notice that the newspaper check is at the bottom of the page. When you collect the newspapers, you will need to check that off to indicate that it is completed. It's important that you follow this so that we know where you are and that everything is getting done. While in the reserve room, there are certain things you should and shouldn't do. Don't be putting your homework or anything else before the job while you're here. Be listening for the ASRS, customers, or coworkers, and make sure everything is getting done as soon as possible. You're here to do work, not homework. Don't leave work for the next person. You are only in the reserve room for a certain amount of time. You should be completing tasks as they come in and don't let them pile up. If it gets busy though, make sure you finish everything before you leave so the next person doesn't have to do it. Don't leave the reserve room before the next person arrives. The reserve room needs to be manned at all times. If the next person is late, call them to remind them. If you can't get a hold of them, call a supervisor. So that completes your borrowing services training. You did a fantastic job, and I think you're going to do great here.